Shane Curtis, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No, pleasure, man. What brings you to Plymouth?
I got a seminar tomorrow at Centaur BJJ, I think it's called. Yeah. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. First time travelling this far.
And it is far, mate. Huh?
Well, far in England anyway.
Yeah, we always whenever we speak to the Yanks and that, they're like, I travel 3 hours for training. I'm like, yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How many of them said that though? So many Yanks like, oh yeah, we've travelled 2 hours, 3 hours for training each way. And I'm like,
yeah, I know someone will say, we missed our flight, so we just decided to drive instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't work like that over here.
Yeah, mate, nah. What are you going to cover at the seminar?
I've been doing a lot of this shin trap, sort of passing Delariva and like different ways to kind of when they counter and stuff. So it's a whole new system that I've been kind of developing in the past year or so, having a lot of good success with it.
Yeah, I think I've seen on your social media, wasn't you backstepping and trapping the leg?
Yeah.
I was looking at that. Yeah, I tried it the other day. It does actually work for
Yeah.
you guys. Yeah.
Stealing his shit.
Yeah, mate, I just was like, I like that because, you end up in that sort of De La Riva, position.
Yeah,
so,
it's a bit unorthodox like me, so...
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And in fairness, makes sense. It was like a really good gym. Like Jamie Horseman and Jamie and the other Jamie, like they're nice lads. Like nice. You'll have a good time tomorrow.
Good. Looking forward to it.
A good bunch, man. Be good. And also on social media, I think I saw something the other day about you were maybe bullying Pat Downey about something. What the f*** was that about?
This is looking hilarious, right? So I've got a friend. His Instagram handle is @lunchtimebjj. He is a troll. That's all he is.
Mate, I've seen him somewhere. I think he's commented on some of our stuff.
Oh, definitely. He would have commented on something.
I've seen him. I've definitely seen that.
He's a purple belt. I've been training a good amount of time. He just one-to-ones with me and stuff. But yeah, he's one of my best mates, Guy Spencer. Guy Spencer Hudson, actually. That's his middle name. So he got drunk on Saturday night. And then he did what he called speed drinking because he had to be home in time. So he got home, he got to bed, his missus kicked him out of the bed, and then he messaged me and went, "Who do you want to call out?" And I was just like, what? I don't know what you're on about here. And then next thing I know, he's tagged me in something with Pat Downey, being like, "Would you do a bet match with Shane, big English money?" And we're like, what? I didn't reply to it, I just put a laughing face, go to bed. I wake up the next morning, he sends me screenshots of his conversation after Pat Downey messaged him, private message. So bearing in mind, he's got like less than 200 followers. Pat Downey goes and messages him and goes, "Hey up, bro." And he's like, and then he starts talking to him, agreeing to this match. He's like, "Oh yeah, we'll do it. We can do it on Polaris. Got big English money." And he's like, "We'll get you for a seminar as well." And then Pat Downey gives him his mobile number. And then he sends me the screenshots in the morning. I'm like, all right. So I put together that little reel, if you've seen it. And then Pat then shares it as well. And like the next day he's putting like, "Oh, Polaris, get me back on. This guy wants it." So I'm like, why not?
Mate, he's an absolute cannon, mate. If you ever watch our podcast with him, he's like just in the gym, like massaging his feet and just it's the weirdest fucking thing. But he's a top lad, but it's just like he just doesn't give a
Yeah, I think that's the that's what came across in those messages. He just wants to fight.
Fight anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
so I think that's a win-win for me. He's 100 kilo.
Yeah, he's a big boy, but again, like obviously his wrestling's really good, but his jiu-jitsu, he's still like purple belt.
Yeah. So I think it'd be a pretty fun one, to be fair, actually.
Yeah.
So Pat Downey, bring it.
Nice, man. How would you look to approach that? Would you stand or would you just pull in and go?
I'd definitely take him to... No, of course I wouldn't.
I was about to say.
Hell no. I'd spot scoot the whole walkout.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just be on the same side.
Zero opportunity at any point.
Yeah, that'd be sick, man. Hopefully we'll see that. That'd be really good. That'd be cool,
I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, and for maybe those watching that aren't that familiar with you, obviously UK Grappler, give us a little bit of a rundown of your jiu-jitsu credentials, obviously your belt and big wins and that sort of thing.
So I'm a black belt. I get my first degree, like imminently, actually. I've just been a black belt just about 3 years next month. I've been on Polaris 8 times, been on Grapplefest 10 times. I've been over to America to compete and train quite a bit, but yeah, I guess I've had wins on almost every show in the UK. I'd say I'm pretty well known, I think, because I'm so unique, unorthodox. I don't know, people remember me. Everyone in the UK seems to know me. I I just want to try and push that now to the next level.
Yeah, nice. And mostly the pro scene, or have you done much IBJJF and that type of thing as well?
I haven't really done much IBJJF. Like, I probably will, but I think super fights are the one for me. Like, at the moment, super fights, both mentally, but also like tactically, seem to be the way forward. Like, I have this thing where with tournaments, I just don't compete as well. There's too much to think about. Like, sometimes I do well, sometimes I don't. It can be hit and miss. Like, my only 2 losses this year are both in tournaments. And then I'm undefeated in super fights against like high-level guys, all black belts. And then sometimes I drop a match for something stupid in a tournament. So I'm sticking to the super fights for now, seeing how far I can take that. And then maybe I'll look to kind of go to those IBJJFs and whatnot.
How old are you?
I am 30.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, still young, mate.
That's what I thought. Plenty of time.
You are compared to us, in a way. That's only me. And are you primarily no-gi?
Yeah. I mean, I've done gi as long as I've trained. I do gi every week. But as far as competing, I did compete in the gi at black belt as soon as I got my black belt, just so I could just kind of put that to rest. I am a black belt in the gi as well, not just no gi, and I got plenty of wins there. I even had a match on Polaris in the gi as well. The decision didn't go my way, but he was the hometown favourite in Italy. I still think I won that, but never mind. It was a good back and forth either way. But then after that, I pretty much stopped competing in the gi.
Yeah,
I will do it again, but not yet.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but obviously the scene in jiu-jitsu, I think, is going no-gi, isn't it, in regard to being successful and making money and that sort of thing. So it makes sense to probably lean towards that if you want to go down the pro scene for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think, for me especially as well, and in the UK, there's not really much money in the whole gi scene. No. You might get an odd match here and there. I'm sure if I said to Polaris, can I have a gi match, they'd probably be like, yeah, of course. But I think it makes more sense to stick to no-gi.
Yeah, 100%. One match I did see recently, it was an older match, but I was just watching some of your old matches, and it was against Lu Long, and you caught him with a sub. Talk me through that sub. I couldn't quite work out what you were doing there.
So I think that video is not the easiest one to watch.
No, it was the wrong side, I think. Yeah, it's
the wrong side. So yeah, I remember that match. That was a good one. Took that on a couple of weeks' notice. I mean, so did he. So it's not here, neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is my infamous Gothlord.
Say again?
My infamous Gothlord.
Gothlord, okay.
Oh, that was your Gothlord?
Yeah.
I don't know what video he was on about. Yeah, I've watched a few things on your Gothlord.
Yeah, that's essentially just Kezagatami, but from the bottom, and you catch the Americana, like in a nutshell. Like, I know there's other people in the world that do it, quite different names and stuff, but that's what I call it when I do it.
I just find it difficult to get. That's what I need to definitely
Yeah, there's those different ways you can get into it.
Yeah.
Like, you need to kind of lull them into a false sense of security. And then bang, that's it.
Yeah, I need to look at this, man. I've got like an annoying niggly elbow at the moment, so I struggle to turn into people when they pass my guard.
So this is good because you turn away from it.
Exactly. So this could be for me, this,
yeah,
mate.
I think so. So I've got a whole system around it as well, even before they've passed. So it all just ties in nicely.
Yeah, nice. I'll have to check that out somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sweet. And we mentioned, obviously, just off air a second ago that last time I was up your end, it was like 2011 for ADCC, and you hadn't even started training at that point. So you started training about 10 years ago now in 2015. Yeah. So tell us why and how you got into training, and talk through the early years of training jiu-jitsu.
So, well, we'll start back kind of like how I got into martial arts when I was younger. So I remember when I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13 maybe, watching Enter the Dragon with my mum.
Nice.
And after that, I actually wanted to do Jeet Kune Do, go kind of follow Bruce Lee's footsteps. Ended up kind of finding a Jeet Kune Do school in Melton Mowbray, which is where I'm from, in Leicestershire. And then did maybe one. I remember my first session there, I punched some bloke in the face because you were meant to like punch really close to them, but not actually hit them. I was like, okay. Anyway, I never went back. It was really expensive. They tried to talk me into signing up to this really expensive direct debit. I was like 13. I'm like, I'm going to have to ask my mum. So I never went back there. And then when I was like, I think when I moved to Nottingham, when I was 19, I did a couple more sessions of Jeet Kune Do, but in a different place, but in Nottingham. And then the gym that I was at just closed down. And I think I might have done like one no-gi session there, or one like MMA. I think it's got MMA session with Carsten Lenjois. He was a former pro MMA fighter. He was on like the Ultimate Fighter and stuff. I'm good friends with him now. But I remember Doing that one session, didn't have a clue. I got my ass handed to me. So like when I was 19, and then didn't do anything at all after that. Just lifted weights and stuff. And then I ended up bumping into one of the guys that did go there. Didn't really know him that well, but enough to kind of like have a conversation. And he was like, oh, we do a bit of boxing at X, Y, and Z gym. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I went down there, did some boxing for maybe a year. Very like infrequently, but on and off. And then I stopped that. And then I bumped into Carsten again. And he was like, oh, we now train at Nottingham MMA. And this was when I was like 21. And I was like, okay, cool. And then literally the same week, I decided, right, get some stuff, go down. And there we go. I went in, did my first session. I remember actually, as I walked in, Carsten was talking to Paul, my current coach, about me, saying, oh, this guy says he's going to come down. And I actually did. I can imagine there's so many times people go, oh, yeah, he says he's going to come down. So much so that no one actually ever tells anyone anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I walked in. And annoyingly, I'd actually torn my ACL when I was 17. And I still hadn't got it fixed. So in that particular session, I remember stepping back, like my knee could just giving way, and I'd be like, "Fuck, I've got to get this sorted." So like before I'd even started MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, whatever, I needed to get ACL surgery. So like that was in like the September-ish maybe, and then in January I managed to. That's quite a quick turnaround to be fair. Get surgery in the January, 9 months off straight away. But like. Paul's the nicest person in the world. Straight away, he was like, all right, cool. You can just use the gym then if you want for free, just so you can rehab. So I came in 3-4 times a week, like as soon as I was able to, just to do weights and stuff whilst I was doing my rehab. And then as soon as I started being able to train again, I did my first session, then bang, for maybe 2 or 3 months, I did 3 times a week. And then from there on, minimum of 5 days a week from like when I was like, I guess it would have been like 22 maybe. At that point.
Yeah, nice, man. So who's your coach? Paul who?
Paul Lukovsky.
Okay.
He gets his 3rd degree next month as well.
Yeah, nice.
He got his black belt from Jacare Cavalcanti, the founder of Alliance.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so yeah. He's one of the best people I've ever trained with, and like, anyone that actually knows him agrees. Like I've barely ever seen him get tapped by anyone properly. Like I'll catch him, and like some of the other guys at the gym will catch him, but we all know each other's games. Yeah. You know, if you actually watch him compete, like he's got wins over like Tom Bracher, Dave Weston, like he's got wins over quite big people. Like his last match was against Luke Griffiths. Okay. He didn't win, but like that says a lot about him.
Yeah.
Even being there, doing that.
Yeah, no shame in not beating Luke.
Yeah, precisely. So yeah, Paul is phenomenal. Big guy, but moves like a little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been my coach since day one.
Class. I think you had the Rough House gym up in Nottingham, right?
Yeah. So we're quite close with those guys, like Jimmy, Dan Hardy, Paul Daly. I actually rolled with Paul Daly yesterday.
I saw a video of that. He's looking like a big boy.
Oh, he's wider than he is tall now. Yeah. He doesn't really train anymore. Yeah. But after yesterday, he did say, actually, you know what? I'm going to get back into it.
Yeah.
He just was a PTs and stuff like with people. But now I think he might have got that bug back. At least I hope so. Because he's a strong motherfucker.
Yeah, mate, he was quality in MMA. And was there no temptation to jump into that gym at the time, given the athletes that they produced at one point?
So the Rough House specifically was kind of like gone at the point when I started.
Fine.
As far as I knew. And then they kind of like started it up again.
Yeah.
Dan, like Jimmy used to train at like John Skillens in Loughborough. So it was like Paul would nip over sometimes to train with them. I've been once or twice, like when I was a white belt. And then Dan and Jimmy opened Hardy Warhead, which was very MMA based. I was probably a purple at that time, so it was actually a few years after I started. And I actually was going to fight MMA. There was a couple of times I actually started a training camp and was going to fight. On the first occasion, I was going to fight. Lockdown happened, so it got cancelled. And the second occasion, again, I was training. Then I'd go to Rough House and train with those guys, or Rough House 2.0, shall we call it. You'll see me on some of those old Rough House MMA videos on YouTube, one of the old ones, old new ones. And then Polaris kind of came to me for like a second chance. And I was like, I'm going to have to take this. So I ended up just putting that back on the back burner and just kind of going with that. And I wear contact lenses as well, so it'd be a bit hard to consistently do that. Wouldn't really want to get punched in the face too much.
No.
I'll definitely have a fight one day.
Okay.
Like, I'll have one pro fight before before it's too late. And then I think I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think MMA was always going to be the first thing I wanted to do. I think most people it is, isn't it? When they start training, it's like MMA, I want to fight MMA, and then they go, oh, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu's way more fun. You don't get punched in the face all the time, you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah, mate, no, it's fair. And obviously, like you said earlier, you're a little bit memorable when people see you've got the tattoos, you've got the nickname the Gothlord. Where does that come from?
That actually comes from Lloyd Cooper, the Yorkshire gripper himself. It just take the piss out of me. And it kind of stuck. He's a very good friend of mine, Lloyd is. And one day I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. I changed my handle on Instagram, and then went from there. Ended up getting a guy to design me a logo, and and then it's just gone from there. And it's really paid off. I think I made a lot of money on rash guards and merch and stuff, and I think people remember me. So it's definitely worked.
Yeah. So you've always been into that style, then I take it for a long time.
Yeah, I've always liked metal music, tattoos and stuff.
Yeah,
and I think it just kind of fits. And there's not that many people, especially high level grapplers, who have that niche. And I think that really pays dividends for me.
And with the tats, are there any more to go, or are we kind of
always? Yeah, I've got loads of room left. Yeah,
he's creeping off. He's not quite got to the face yet.
No, I'm not doing the face. That's the only bit. That's it. I got my neck done, the back of my head. I got a bit more done, but yeah, I think I don't know. I like the face. It's just I there's no coming back from it, is there for me?
Yeah, and you end up with a face like this as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'll probably fuck it up and then want to black out or something. You know what I mean? Imagine that.
Yeah,
nice, man. And just sort of your typical training at the moment then. So what does a typical week of training look like for you?
So I do it full time.
Yeah.
So I managed to quit my job 4 years ago. Worked for IT for Hillary's Blinds.
Okay. Exciting work.
Yeah. But I was lucky enough to kind of be furloughed for a bit.
Yeah.
So then I was at home for a while during lockdown.
Got the taste for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually, I was working from home for then the second period, when people were going back to work. But yeah, so I was working from home for a while. And then I was ended up doing a few one-to-ones here and there. And then my missus and me were talking, and they were saying, oh, we need to go back to the office now. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't go back into work. And she pretty much talked me into just quitting. And I got a job in a normal gym, just as a fitness instructor, and doing a few one-to-ones on the side. And yeah, and if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I would have done it. Because she was like, well, don't worry, if you can't pay rent, I'll cover you.
Yeah.
So nice. Touch wood, never actually happened. But having that kind of to fall back on, yeah. If it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have done that.
So how do you, as an athlete, how do you earn most of your money? Is it through competing? Is it through seminars? Is it through one-to-ones?
Everything.
Is it just a combination?
It's a combination. So I clean the gym. I clean the gym. I teach the gym. I do one-to-ones at the gym. I teach seminars. I try to do one seminar a month at least. And I try to compete once a month. And I don't want to sound big-headed, but I won't compete essentially without being paid. I'm at that point now where I feel that's fair. So yeah, just make money for all these different avenues. And I do a bit of graphic design as well. So I do that kind of on the side. But it's all for grapplers. So kind of same thing.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's always interests me because you hear so many athletes struggling, and then there's some that do really well. And I always like yourself, where you're kind of just able to do it for 4 years and sustain it, and just it's cool. It's really cool.
And I'm definitely earning more money each year as well. So
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it gets better.
Yeah, exactly. Me and my missus just bought a house, so
that's great. Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, mate, that's awesome. And so you're training, because we were just chatting about this while we were waiting, actually, just with me at the moment, because I'm in my 40s now and I've got a few niggles. And like I said, I've been training for a while, a bit sporadically, so in and out, but been training for a long time. So I have to train a particular way now. So I probably only spar maybe once, twice a week at a push.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even when I do spar, I'll undulate my intensity. So I'll maybe have a hard day and then an easier day where I'll pick on some white belts or something, as you do. So what does your training look like? Are you sparring a lot? Are you how are you developing skill, and how are you being creative on the mat? Talk us through that process.
So for a long time, I've got ADHD, so my attention is terrible. I don't like drilling. Like, I'll do it if my move is particularly interesting. I'll do it a little bit to get the kind of the gist of what's meant to be happening. But then I'll just spar and I'll just go off on a tangent. I'll just do. And it's just for me, for most of my training until probably October last year, I used to just spar. Or I'd come into the gym, I'd do the classes, go through the motions or whatever, and drill, and then sparring, boom. All I'm just looking to do is just beat the other person, just trying to sub them. That's it. Nothing. There was never really anything in my head. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like nothing consciously anyway. Maybe subconsciously, but I just do that. And then I started working with a guy called Jake O'Driscoll. He's an Australian coach. He's currently coaches Adele Fornerino, Keith Ricorian, PJ Barch, and other people like that. And I actually competed against him as well. And I did beat him. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. But he's a phenomenal coach. And he helped me put together my game plan to go against Max Hansen when I went out to Texas last year. Unfortunately, got injured fucking 15 seconds into that match.
I know the feeling, brother.
Yeah, horrible. But yeah, the way he got me training for that made a big difference. Like he'd break down everything I need to do every week. I'd video all my training and send it to him, and then he'd then send me the updated sort of schedule for the following week. And then I'd just do that. I did that for like 8 weeks or so. And then I still work with him, but not like as intense as that. I guess that's more of a training camp. But because of the sort of things that he had me working on, I was able to then continue doing in my own training. So, for example, when I came back after injury, my first match after a knee injury was a proficient leg locker in Fred Greenall, like European champion, silver at the Worlds, like multiple-time Polaris veteran, like Fred's heel hooks, some of the best guys in the world, or in Europe at least. Like that was going to be a hard one to come back from. But I remember watching him, knowing what I had to do, and I was able to plan my own training leading up to that. So like Monday I would do, for example, just staying on top, like and passing guard. And Tuesday would be, I'm just looking for subs. Wednesday, and then just different things each day, so I can focus on specifics for that specific person. And it paid off. And I was able to go in there, and I feel like I looked like I hadn't had any time off. Like I feel like I really took a step forward in that match. And then since then, I've just been focusing more on when I come in. Again, I still don't really drill much, but when I do spar, I make sure I've got something to focus on. Make sure that I'm not just going in and just winging it. Occasionally, that can be fun. And you just have like an open match, have a bit of a mess around. But I'll always now go into a role with almost like a game plan. And that really, really pays off. So, for example, if I'm looking for like a ADCC rule set maybe, like I'll be looking to pull guard immediately, play off my back. As soon as points hit, wrestle up. I've got my score, and then try and work from there. Just different things like that. So I know that what I'm working towards, I'm also doing in the gym as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it makes sense. We've had so many conversations about different sort of ways of training and instructing versus coaching. And you might have seen the clip, but we had Faris on recently, and he was talking about him as the coach for CJI, and was saying that most jiu-jitsu athletes don't have a coach per se. They have instructors or teachers. And, that's definitely been my experience largely as well, where, you'll have people passing down their knowledge, showing you moves, but not many people that you would in like pro sport that are looking at you specifically and going, right, you need to improve here, you need to improve there. So it sounds like when you've had that now, that's really elevated you.
Yeah, definitely. And that's exactly what Jake's done for me. And we kind of had that conversation. I've had that conversation with other people, how, like, I don't know, everyone knows who Alex Ferguson is. He never played football, really. I'm sure he did as a kid, but that's the sort of equivalent. I think that's now going to come into jiu-jitsu a lot more. I still do, though, believe that these coaches should still also train, in my opinion, because it's a little bit different than football.
Yeah, but like Sir Alex Ferguson was a professional.
Yeah.
Just up in Scotland, not very good. You know what I mean? So he knew,
that's a good point.
You know what I mean? He was a professional footballer. He just wasn't the level of you know what I mean? It's it's like Jose Mourinho as well. Like they're low-level professionals, and then they go into, we spoke about this actually before, and it's such a different thing, isn't it? Some people can be not great at jiu-jitsu, but have a great mind as a coach. And as an instructor, it's like with all different sports, isn't it?
I do, though, think that the difference there would be, obviously, Alex, so folks can just keep playing football. But I'd like for the jiu-jitsu coach, instructor to keep doing jiu-jitsu because it's ever evolving, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you got to be relevant, haven't you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You got to know, like, how many people who've done jiu-jitsu for a long time, they stick to their game. And if it gets a bit culty in a gym and they don't really cross-train or they don't go out at the gym, you got this kind of coach that's just there and he thinks he knows everything. And then if he went just to B team, for example, it's a different game. It's a completely
Big
different
fish in
game.
a small pond.
Exactly, yeah. It's a different game, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think with football, obviously, like the sport, the game fundamentally doesn't change. Like some of the tactics might, and maybe the style slightly, but it feels like jiu-jitsu, like
no new skills, is there?
Yeah, this is it. And jiu-jitsu, like there's like new moves, new like ways of winning being created. So,
but again, though, it's
new
like,
rule sets coming in all the time.
With like football, for example, he might have been the manager, but he's not necessarily the coach. He's not the fitness coach. He's not the tactician.
The skills coach. Yeah,
that's the thing as well. It's like there's a lot of different moving parts to like professional clubs. And as jiu-jitsu keeps growing, I think we will start getting that. And I think jiu-jitsu people and athletes are realizing how important nutrition is, S&C is, good advice from people who can structure your training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know why I mentioned football. I can't stand it.
He really likes it, so you set him off now, mate.
I was obsessed with football for so long, but I just don't even bother with it anymore. I think jiu-jitsu's taken over my life, mate. It's just that's it.
It was always rugby for me before football.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think as far as a base for jiu-jitsu in the UK goes, I think you can't go wrong with rugby.
Yeah, mate.
We don't do wrestling over here, really, do we? Not as easy accessible as in America. So at least some sort of contact sport with proprioception and like balance, whatever.
Yeah,
I think it makes for a good starting point.
Yeah, it prepares the ear as well.
Yeah.
So win-win. So prior to getting that sort of coaching input, you were obviously still made it to black belt. When did you create the Gothlord? When was that discovered?
So just to clarify, I didn't invent it.
But
you know that.
Yeah.
But for those people that think I keep talking about how I invented it, I didn't invent it, but no one showed me it.
Yeah.
I just did it. It just happened one day and I just fell into the position. I was like, give this a go. Boom. And it worked. Simple as that.
Yeah.
It was probably when I was a purple belt.
Yeah, okay.
Because I remember going for it when I was a purple belt and a couple of high level guys, not hitting it, getting close to it, but not getting it. And simple as that. And then I just kept doing it more and more and more. And then eventually I managed to hit it in comp.
Yeah. So when you discovered that, so again, like you weren't like trying to actively problem solve and figure things out. You were just scrapping, grabbing stuff, and it just kind of came together.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's pretty much how you developed your game up to black belt.
Yeah.
It's so funny that though, how much jiu-jitsu do you do and that sort of stuff happens. I find it in my game all the time. I'll end up in a position, I'll be like, this is quite good. And I'll do it over and over again until I get fairly good at it.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, someone will, like, where did you get that? And I'm like, I actually don't know. I just basically grabbed a leg, done this, and it fucking works. So I've done it again.
Yeah, it's when people go, can you teach me that? You're like, you're trying to backwards engineer it a bit.
It's like that deep swim with a knee bar that I do quite a lot. Like people say, how you catching that? And I'm like, I actually don't really know. I just know when I just don't know when it's time to do it. You know what I mean? I know if I get this reaction, I'm going to fucking knee bar you.
Yeah, but that's cool. And how would you describe your style of jiu-jitsu now?
I definitely am very unorthodox, but as you'll see, as my game developed, like I'm an all-rounder.
Yeah.
There's one thing particularly that I'm better at. Like I can play guard, I can play top. I'm getting better and better at wrestling the more I do it. I'd say that my front headlock game is probably my strongest point, but I still feel like I'm just an all-rounder.
Yeah, fair. And you're obviously a prolific competitor. When you do compete, I mean, again, this is another discussion we've had several times where like jiu-jitsu is quite sporadic. So it's not always a case of having like a season and an off season like you would in other sports. But for you who compete quite a lot, I mean, is there a specific way that you prepare for competition? Do you have a sort of a camp or do you just throw yourself in?
It's more, I guess, throw myself in. Depending on the rule set, kind of try and train for that rule set, like I said before. Depending if it's points or not, then it'll be kind of based off of that. So, for example, I think I'm definitely like much, much better mentally at competing in super fights.
Yeah.
I think especially this year, I'm undefeated in super fights. And like I said before, I occasionally drop a match in a tournament because mentally it's something I've just not quite got there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm working towards that. And we'll get there. We'll get there. Like I can win some tournaments, and then sometimes I don't even medal. Sometimes I get silver, bronze, or whatever. But I think for me at the moment, like I say, I'm working. If I'm doing super fights, I'll look at the person.
Yeah.
And then I'll look at what are they good at. Have I fought them before? What happened last time? And then just kind of like try and game plan for them specifically, but also don't go too in depth. I think that can throw you off a little bit. Like last year, I had a match against Shane Fishman. Mentally, I wasn't there, but on top of that, I focused too much on his game and his fishnet, and like something that no one ever really does apart from him. And like then I had a few people here and there and who I guess he's taught it to. And then forgot about my game plan. Went in there and got caught. Like So I think you've got to find that medium between obsessing too much about what they're going to do, but also thinking about, well, you play your game, you do what you're good at.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to focus on kind of like I say, finding that happy medium.
Yeah, nice. And in regard to like off the mat training, so like S&C, like sort of consideration for like nutrition, is that something you're paying any attention to?
Yeah, I've got, luckily, I've got 2 sponsors. I've got BJJ Nutrition, Jay Dimmery, as you've had him on before. Yeah. Jay's my nutritionist, and he has been for 2 years now, I think. I did a podcast with him about 2 years ago, and then after the podcast, he was like, I think I want to sponsor you. And then, I've been really lucky to work with Jay for that long, and he's helped me go up to 92, down to 77, and then all that in between.
That's crazy.
So I work with Jay, speak to him weekly, daily probably sometimes. And then as far as strength and conditioning goes, I work with Andrew Hardwick, which is Brotherhood Brotherhood Performance. And Andrew's a black belt himself, owns his own gym. And he's a phenomenal strength and conditioning coach. And like again, speak to him regularly. He puts me a program together, and I'll do that as well.
Yeah, nice. And what's your typical split? Like how many days are you doing S&C versus Jiu-Jitsu?
So 2 days a week S&C. I can be a bit sporadic with that sometimes. Like the ADHD, it's like, but I could do Jiu-Jitsu.
How many times do we hear that?
Too often.
It should be twice a week.
Yeah.
And that's what I aim for. And then I tend to do Jiu-Jitsu like 6 days a week, sometimes 7, sometimes 5, like trying to find that point of not getting overtrained, which I guess we've all been there. But luckily, because I can rest in the day, I'm able to do that. So say we'll go for a normal week. I do Monday, I'll train morning and evening. Tuesday, I'll probably lift weights in the morning and then spar in the evening. Wednesday, it will be sparring at lunchtime. And then maybe a little bit of light sparring in the evening in the gi class because you like comp sparring on Wednesday morning. And Thursday will be morning and evening again. Friday will probably be just in the evening, maybe weights in the morning. And then Saturday, just maybe a little bit in the morning. Or depending if I've got a seminar to go to or whatever, or a competition. Then I might take a couple of days off before. Or sometimes I'll spar the day before comp. It just depends how I'm feeling. Like if I feel like I need to, then I will. If I don't, then I won't.
Yeah. That's a lot of training considering you spar a lot as well, huh?
Yeah. I like most of mine is sparring. I'll probably do like 50 rounds a week.
Yeah.
That's fucking loads, isn't it, really? It's mad, isn't it? Because like, there's no other sport you could do that.
No.
You know what I mean? That sort of like intensity, there's no other sport, is there? But that's what's good about Jiu-Jitsu, isn't it?
Luckily, I can choose my intensity. I guess when you get to a black belt level as well, it doesn't matter who you train with, as long as it's not like all black belts, you can pretty much just chill if you want to, or you can go hard, or you can just work things, or you can just defend. Like, there's so many ways you can get good training in without necessarily just going 100%.
Yeah.
It always like fascinates me when you get as good as you are. It must be hard, like if you're going with like white or like blue belts, like to still get something out of it. Do you find you still get something out of it, or do you just struggle with that a little bit now?
I press like a dick here. I don't really roll with white belts because I don't want to get kicked in the face.
Yeah,
I don't want to get injured. If there's someone I know and trust, maybe with their like up and they're going to get their blue belt soon or something, like I just don't feel like there's probably anything in it for me. But there's nothing in it for them either.
That's what I mean. Like it's like a two-way thing. But I always think when you get to your level,
I'll probably end up, I'll train on blue belts and up generally. And with blue belts, that's when I guess I'm looking at practicing things, like thinking of new moves, new ways, different reactions. And then I guess it's kind of like drilling. I know that sounds really kind of condescending to the blue belts, but sometimes like you can just essentially drill on a reactive partner.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they catch you off guard and you get caught. That happens. But yeah, that's kind of how I would kind of approach those sort of roles of people who aren't necessarily the same level.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. And then thinking about the matches you've had, you've obviously touched on a few already, but any kind of really standout matches, whether it was a really frustrating loss or a really big win, any that stand out?
I think, honestly, like the Fred one was a big one for me because that was my first one of this year, my first one after an injury. I do think a lot of people didn't think I was going to win that. And then afterwards, everyone was like, wow, you looked amazing. Like, so, and I was super happy with that. Being on Polaris, I think I was on a 2-fight skid on Polaris. So I was actually 3 wins and 4 losses before that on Polaris. Because my last 2 matches were Shane Fishman. That was very frustrating because I've trained with Shane since as well. And like, it would be amazing if that was the match. Like, neither of us subbed each other, but it was just a great back and forth when we sparred together. And then before that was Levi, which actually I was very happy with that, despite getting caught in the last minute of the match. I'm a bit annoyed that I got caught, but I was pretty happy with how I did on 24 hours notice against probably the number 2 guy in the world at that weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Fred one is a big one for me. I do have a win over Tom Breeze as well in the grappling comp.
Nice.
He doesn't like that. I like Tom though. Tom's sound. But I managed to get the decision under that particular rule set.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy with that one just because of how well accomplished he is.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing against Tom. I like Tom.
We'll just cut all that bit out, mate. Sorry.
So yeah, the Lou Long one was actually pretty decent. Lou, again, similar. He's a very good guy as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall in all, the Fred one is probably my favourite. The one I had a really big turning point was a match of mine at brown belt against a guy called Jeremy Paré. He's I think he's like French Canadian. He lives in Canada anyway. Might not be French Canadian, but
he sounds it.
He's at least Canadian. And that was on Grapplefest. And I started working on my mental performance after that match because I just wasn't there. I was just waiting for him to do something. Like I almost got him immediately. And then after that, he managed to catch me. And then I ended up actually working with his mental performance coach. And then I've worked with a few different people here and there and then tried to work out what's best for me. And then funnily enough, actually, the person I think who makes a big difference from is Lloyd Cooper. His mental performance is solid. Like he's like unbreakable, Lloyd is, like mentally. And he's someone, if anyone needs advice from, well, I'm sure he's not going to talk to anyone, but I go to him for advice.
Yeah.
So I think he's helped me up massively as well.
Yeah. So obviously we know Lloyd is a grappler. Is he like a training like sports psychologist, or is he just more of a mentoring thing that he offers?
More of a mentor or anything. Like he's done it himself. Like he knows what to do. Like he's not just he's not a full-time grappler either. He's a businessman. He's a family man. Like, and I don't actually know why he's so good at it. Actually, I've never really asked him, but I just know he is.
Okay.
Some people are naturally good at stuff like that, though. Some people are really good communicators. Some people are really strong mentally, like naturally really strong mentally, and then they can help other people. Yeah.
So what adjustments did you make from like a mentality standpoint with competing that helped?
It was just kind of like, I think the way you approach competition is like, it's not like you're not. So sometimes people go into competitions just wanting not to lose. People go into competitions with the wrong mindset. I think that's what it is, like to start with at least. Like for me, actually what I started doing was trying to make competition day as familiar as possible. So make it very similar to a normal day. So it's nothing special. And if you put it like almost on a pedestal, so to speak, then it's going to stand out as this is it. It's do or die sort of thing when it's not. Like, it doesn't matter, really, whether you win or lose. No one's going to care, apart from you. But if you can go into it just more, trying to make it more like a sparring session, then I think that helps, putting a little bit less pressure on yourself. And I think then, again, wanting to win as well, not needing to win. That's another thing that I learned from a guy called Sam Antonin, who was Jeremy's mental performance coach. Because if you need to win, then you're not thinking about performing. You're thinking about just doing what you can to win rather than what you can to perform. And if I go in there and I don't want to win and I perform the best I possibly could, but still lose, that's fine. As long as I know that I've competed to the best of my ability, then it's okay. And I think that makes a big difference too.
Yeah, that's good, man. And when you go into a competition, you kind of mentioned earlier, obviously, with the guy who had the fishnet thing, that you kind of focus too much on his game. But what is your typical kind of strategy going into a comp? Are you, again, is it really dependent on your opponent? Are you looking to be really aggressive? Are you looking to get anything going in particular?
So I want to try and emulate what I'm like in the gym. That's when I'm my best. So if I go in there and I wait too much, I kind of react to them rather than me making them react to me, then I don't do as well. So I think the best for me is to kind of be on the offensive straight away. But another thing actually that's made a big difference recently is I used to go into competition just wanting to get the sub, and that's it, get them out of there fast as possible. And if I get them, like almost get them or don't get them, it kind of like weighs on me during the match. I'm like, I've not got them yet. And now I go into a match expecting not to win by sub, which kind of sounds a bit weird, like when I want to sub everyone. But if I go into it thinking I'm not probably going to sub them, but I generally find the sub eventually because I'm not worried about gassing out. I'm not worried about having to find the sub and worrying if I don't get it. If I can just win the match, and then great, if I get a sub on the way, perfect. That's made a big difference. That's what I've worked out myself, actually, more than anyone else has helped me with. And another one, which is quite a simple one that I don't think a lot of people do, is warm up. And it sounds really silly. If you don't warm up, then you're probably like, unless there's some people that don't warm up, and they do really well. But for the most part, if you don't warm up, you're probably not going to win. You tell me when your first and second, maybe even third roll in the gym is your best.
Yeah.
Never. Especially your first, never. You're going to gas yourself out. The next roll is probably going to be awful because you're tired. So if you can get your first wind out and warm yourself up, you'll already go into it knowing that you've had your first or second roll, and now you're going into your third and your fourth one. That, for me, makes the biggest difference. And actually, if I don't warm up, I won't win.
Mm.
When I warm up, for the most part, 99% of the time, I win the match.
And what intensity do you warm up at? Do you have like a full out roll, but like, do you just have a good roll?
So I'll get warm, like move around a little bit, stretch, but then I'll do what I call getting my first wind out. So I'll do 1 minute of like a HIIT workout, for example. Mm-hmm. So I'll do 10 minutes of sprinting on the spot. Sorry, 10 second minutes. I'm not doing 10 minutes of that. 10 seconds of sprinting on the spot, 10 seconds of tuck jumps, 10 seconds of like explosive press-ups, thank you. 10 seconds of like sit-ups again, and then repeat sprinting and tuck jumps. That's it. Mm. And then just stay warm. And if I can stay warm from there on and like move around, if it's for a super fight specifically, I'll do my wind, but then I'll spar as well afterwards, and then I'll really perform. That's why I think it's harder in tournaments, because you don't always know when you're on to start with.
And then they fucking change it.
And they change it. And you can't really just grab someone else who's also competing and go, can we just have some really hard rolls now, please?
Yeah.
And like, they might not want to do that. They might be on at different times. So that's the struggle, I think, for me when it comes to tournaments.
Yeah.
Too much to think about as well sometimes. You got to think about scoring, not scoring. You got to think about not getting scored on. Got to think of negatives, like all this, that, and the other. These super fights, just like, right, just go in there and try and sub them. Yeah, just win. Like, that's all I can think. All I think about. I think that's why I perform much better at them. Obviously not. And then obviously on top of the warm up.
I think as well, if you're unorthodox like you are, it's like, you're setting people up for traps. Sometimes they will pass. Sometimes you'll get yourself into a bad position to then get the sub. Yeah. And I play a little bit like that, and I don't give a fuck about, if someone passes my guard at some points, because I'm trying to set some other shit up. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's interesting, because it's just different types of jiu-jitsu. I feel like you can feel someone who rows like regularly, like IBJJF and stuff, where they're just point scoring, or they're like, you know what I mean? They're like really like strictly like passing guard, or then they get like knee on belly, and you can see them like knee on belly and just waiting, and then trying to go mount, and then like, yeah. You know what I mean? And just trying to secure that position and stuff. And I don't know, I've just never obviously been in that route of jiu-jitsu. I've always been like quite free and just fucking around my guard and just trying to sub people.
I think that's why I do better in sub-onlys.
Yeah.
Because then all I have to worry about is my jiu-jitsu, not what the other person or the rule set deem to be the winning score or whatever.
How do you feel about like stuff like that, like a point scoring? Do you think it's needed? Do you think it would be better without it?
I don't know. It's just different rule sets, isn't it? And I think it's good to be able to do all rule sets. I guess as far as maybe progressing the sport, it looks a bit more exciting when someone's not trying to hold their 2-point lead for the rest, the next 9.5 minutes of the match or whatever. But yeah, I've got nothing against it. I think, especially being able to sign up to like a local tournament, it's good for like kind of skill progression as well. Yeah. Because if you end up going against a guy who's like that, so then you might have to do the same thing to them. So yeah, I definitely think it's got its place.
Yeah, I think early, like through the belts, is good, isn't it? Like you said, like for me, like it's good.
It does help you kind of learn sort of the hierarchy of positions.
Yeah.
And as much as you can snatch Gothlocks from fucking side control bottom, you know, for the most part, the subs are there in dominant positions. So I think it does help for that for sure. Yeah.
Just understanding that.
I've lost my fair share of matches from pulling bottom side control. So, but I don't tend to do that anymore. It's like, if it's there, it's there. Yeah. But I don't force that anymore because, I have made that mistake a few too many times.
Someone's good in those positions. Yeah. You're just like, you know what I mean?
Why did I do that?
Yeah, definitely. How was training at B Team when you went there last year?
Oh, really good. Yeah, definitely. Like, it's fantastic. Made some really good friends. Had some really good training. I was lucky that they already knew what I was, so I was able to go and train with the pros immediately.
Nice.
And had some great training. Yeah, made some like kind of really good friends as well, which is always
it's
nice.
Good level out there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were out there, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Nice. Did you meet JB?
No.
You did not meet JB?
No,
JB
we saw him about, but we didn't really speak to him.
No, JB really, he helped us a lot when me and Macaulay went out there. Like, drove us around places.
Yeah, nice.
Helped us about washing. We'll do washing at his place and stuff. And like, JB, he was, I think he's the guy that I made kind of like the best friend, closest friends with. And then obviously Chris Wojcik as well. Yeah. Had some really good training with Chris. Trained with him a little bit when he came over for Polaris earlier in the year as well. Chris is sound. Yeah, well, I mean, everyone there was sound. Like, I can't really fault anyone.
Yeah, they were all the same with us. They were really nice, mate. Like, Declan Meady's a legend.
Didn't meet Declan. He wasn't there, no.
Yeah, we went to his morning class like every day. It was good. It was really good. Yeah, it's like having like a little one-to-one, really, wasn't it? Every morning. It was like 6 people there, mate. You know, it's really good. Like, I took fucking loads away from it, you know?
Yeah, he's good, man. And like, I think we knew he was good anyway, but seeing him at like the trials and, you know, obviously in Who's Number One recently, he's clearly now
beast.
Yeah, he's clearly
he's
one of the
fucking animal.
Yeah, one of the best guard passers on the planet now, and he's going to be a real force when CJ comes around. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to him and CJ.
Yeah, how did you find the the standard, without obviously sort of telling Matt tales, but like how did you find the standard there compared to the kind of normal training?
It's hard to say really. Like, I didn't roll with many of their other guys, to be honest. I pretty much only roll with the pros. That's really as good as you expect.
Yeah.
But then, like, also, it showed me that I am also as good. So I think that's the nicest way to put it.
Yeah, so a bit of validation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I think this goes not just necessarily to B Team, but I've trained in a lot of other places. I think the reason why America does so well compared to the UK is there's just more people. So that means there's more pros. There's more good hobbyists. But I don't think the level as a whole is that much higher. It's just that there's just more better people. Yeah. And there's just more hobbyists. There's just more of them.
We just found, like, in B Team, like, it was such a big gap between people. So some people you'd roll with, like, someone who's a black belt, and I thought, okay, it's no-gi, so I was like, he's probably like a purple belt. You know what I mean? And then there were some people that were like blue belts, but they were like really good wrestlers or like little things like that. And you think, fuck me, he's good. You know what I mean? So it would like, the room was really odd. And I guess because they get loads of visitors as well. So like the room's completely different. And it was like, you had people coming in and they were just randoms. You know what I mean?
We were the opposite to you. We didn't really touch the pros. and we just rolled with the civilians.
The other travellers.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
so it was quite a different experience. Because we were there, it was kind of a good time because Dima kind of invited us out when we had him on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Because he was there doing his camp ahead of Who's Number One. But because it was a camp, they were all so locked in.
Yeah, there was no chance to kind of, can I have a quick round sort of thing.
Exactly.
I've done one with Linus and...
I know Linus and Dima.
Yeah, Linus is very good. But we've done 15-minute rounds. I got a couple of roles in. I got one of them with Shane Cameron when he visited. That was cool.
Cameron Shane.
Cameron Shane, sorry. Yeah, Cameron Shane. That was cool. But yeah, they're just fucking at different levels, some of those boys, aren't they? I just didn't want to roll with Nicky or anyone. I was looking up he's fucking
So
massive.
Nicky, Rod and J-Rod weren't there when we were there. Okay. And I was told that it's good because there's no point rolling with them week of comp because they'll just injure you. Yeah. They just go hard, I think. That was more of it, what it was. Because I didn't want to get injured leading up to comp, ironically. But yeah, everyone else was chill anyway, so I was lucky that the training was good. They knew we were competing, so we would just match each other's levels sort of thing. Yeah. I've trained with Linus and Dima both years ago, actually, when I went out to Vanguard with Jason Rao. I was before anyone who knew who Dima was, that was. Yeah. Trained with him, Joseph, there as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, cool,
Linus was fucking strong boy.
Yeah.
Big young boy.
Yeah, so I mean, I was like...
That's the thing, and the level of quality in that room, but the age, it's fuck me. Owen Jones was there at the time, obviously he's great, but Linus, who's 20 as well, Joseph was there, who's 20, it's just fuck me.
He's insane.
I said to him, it was a revelation for me, mate, because I'm at 42 now, so when I was there, I was like, what the fuck am I doing in my life here? What am I doing in this room? You know what I mean?
I fucking loved it, and I was there every day, twice a day, trying to smash
That's what's good about Jiu-Jitsu. Anyone can be friends with anyone because of it, I think.
Yeah.
You don't see lawyers being friends with 16-year-old potheads. Apart from a jiu-jitsu gym, do you?
Yeah, it's a common interest, mate, isn't it? And it's such I think you just become such good mates with them. Do you know what I mean? Because it's that trust element, and just most people in jiu-jitsu are decent people. I think jiu-jitsu makes you a decent person.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you kind of get weaned out. Yeah.
Quickly, don't you? You know what I mean? You just get smashed into oblivion and you never come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure. We're as well as enthusiasts and practitioners, we're big fans of the sport of jiu-jitsu as well. And obviously you got CJI coming up, UFC have just got involved. Are you kind of a spectator fan as well? And what do you think of the pro grappling scene at the moment?
I think it's fantastic. I think having more opportunities is better. I don't see why anyone needs to compete against each other. Obviously competitors, but in shows, there's no point in competing against each other. Just everyone can do everything. I don't see why. I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah, there's enough athletes to go around, really, in there.
Exactly.
I think it's just the exclusive contracts with UFC. I think that's put a little damper on everyone's, because you just don't want them snapping up everyone.
So as far as I know, I could be wrong, but they aren't specifically exclusive. It's more I heard down the grapevine that if you sign a contract with UFC, you can compete elsewhere. But if you lose, they might drop you from your match, which is fair. Why would you sign a contract to UFC and then compete somewhere else on a lesser show potentially? And why are they going to want to have you? You're not going to have a UFC fight coming up and then have a local MMA scrap, are you? And lose, and then UFC go, oh, well, we probably don't need you anymore now. You just lost to some random. So I get
that's a good point. I never even thought of that.
If that is exactly how the contracts are, then I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure because we had Seth on recently and he kind of said that there was exclusive contracts, but I also saw the video that William Tackett put out when he was explaining why he wasn't doing, him and his brother weren't doing CJI, and he said the same as what you just said, where they could, but they couldn't create their own team. They didn't want to jump into a team where they might not win. And also because of the beef and the shit on social media with Craig, it's a bit of a bad luck to suddenly have this new employer and then go and compete for what's turning out to be a bit of a competitor.
It depends what they can turn this UFC BJJ into. Do you know what I mean? If they get it anywhere near what the UFC is, as in with all the different weight classes and the show every couple of twice a year or whatever, and then fill up all the weight classes, it'd be sick. It'd be really good for jiu-jitsu.
I want to be in the UFC But when I started doing MMA, shall we say? So being able to be signed to the UFC to do jiu-jitsu, that'd be phenomenal. Like that's definitely be a goal of mine.
I think they should just let I think the UFC athletes though, they should be able to do something like CGI, ADCC.
And I think they can, but they're just, if they deem it that maybe you didn't perform well enough. But then again, it is like almost the same level, so I don't see why they would drop. I don't see why they would drop you.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like it's like.
But then if you get injured,
those massive events, I think they should like have some exemption because I think it's still good for the sport. You know what I mean? It's still growing the sport. Like how good is CGI to watch? You know what I mean? It's only a good thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah,
it's only if you do well at CGI. It's only a good thing for your profile. It's only a good thing for jiu-jitsu. Even for the UFC, if they've got like an athlete that's won it, you know what I mean, and won more money and more prestige, and you know, but I get the other side of it as well. You know what I mean? I think it should just be up to the athlete. Effectively, I think they should give them the power to be able to do that.
Yeah, it seems so. I'm really interested to see what the UFC can do with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, me too.
Because you've kind of got like the rule set from CJI now. And they've kind of got like the story arc from like PGF. So they're kind of putting a few different ideas together to create this.
They've got the bowl.
The Beyblade bowl.
Beyblade, yeah.
That's nostalgic. Imagine we had to step into a giant Beyblade bowl.
Oh, man, it's so good, mate. It's my childhood, mate, that.
Just be inverting constantly.
Yeah. Mate, I'm not sure I like the bowl though. Because even in the kind of road to the title show they just had on recently, mate, there was like in the third match I watched, there was like a ref interjection because they nearly went up and over the top.
I think he kind of went, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that.
I think he apologized.
It was Vitor Shalin, wasn't it? And I think at that point, like, if it was going to go out, then fair dues. But I think it was like it might have gone out. But he did then. They did stop. So I think they would have came back in. Like it's new, isn't it? The pit. So you kind of, I think you can forgive him. Yeah. Like if they've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's new, so I think you can forgive me. He's a fantastic black belt and a fantastic referee, I think. So I'll let him off.
The views on that UFC BJJ
2.5 million.
Surprised me.
I didn't even know that.
That's
on
fucking
the first
crazy.
Show, like the Wednesday night show they did, 2.5 million across YouTube, Facebook, and UFC Fight Pass. And probably even more now.
Crazy. Yeah, like I looked at all the episodes and they're just growing. Like it's mad. So hopefully there's more people coming over from. It'd just be good if MMA fans started understanding grappling more. That's the big change.
Don't read the comments.
Oh, wouldn't
they? Man. Why don't they do Muay Thai? Why don't they do this?
I think it'd be better though once they have like some, I don't know, bigger, more like stronger personalities as well for the coaches, and like imagine like Gordon Ryan and Nicky Rod. That would be class, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? They're just going at it and fighting like that. That's what we want, isn't it? Definitely. And I think that's like, I think for like an MMA fan, like looking at lads like that where they're all juiced up, jacked up, like.
That's what they want to see. That's what
you want to see. That's what I mean. That's what they want to see. It's hard to like look at like Mikey and that Brazilian lad. I don't know what he was called. I can't remember. But
Harrison.
Yeah. And just being like, oh, is this jiu-jitsu? Like, and obviously Mikey's a killer and we all know that. But I just think from a outside point of view, you'd be like, who's this little nerd? You know what I mean?
I agree with that. And I do think they could maybe have pick the coaches otherwise. But again, Mikey, he's a
killer, mate. You can't deny that.
As far as being a coach, actually, I was very impressed by how well he was able to game plan for everyone. And they did pretty much everything he said.
But I don't think like any of us would ever deny that. I was just thinking from like an outside point of view. If you don't know anything about jiu-jitsu and then you're watching that show, it's not the most like appealing to like an MMA fan, is it? You know, it's not. It's like this weird kind of little kid that's killing everyone. It's just a bit of a weird like sense. Whereas if they had some bigger personalities and bigger guys and a bit more controversy, I think it would be a lot better.
They were looking at it from the perspective of he is small, but it shows how good jiu-jitsu is.
Yeah,
despite size.
And I think because he's clean as well.
Yeah, definitely. It makes a big difference. I mean, UFC's tested anyway, so why are they going to want to bring in someone who's absolutely juiced to the gills?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's probably why Gordon's not going to be in it.
Yeah. I mean, he says he's on stuff, so
Yeah, he's open, isn't he? It's like it's not going to happen. Nicky says he's not.
Yeah, well, there we go.
So then Nicky could go in it. There's a lot of big boys that could go in it.
It'll be interesting to see who they could.
Yeah, it'll be sick, won't it, really? Yeah, it'll be good. But I'm looking forward to all the different weight classes. It'll be sick in like a few years' time or however long it takes. Where they've got like
15, they've got new people being signed. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
It's going to be really cool if they can set it up like that.
Fighters as well, like different from more than just Brazil and America.
Yeah.
Looking forward to when we can go over.
And I think it will be that. I think it will just open. Like, it will just be like the UFC when it will just open up, and then it will be the pinnacle of jiu-jitsu eventually, because they're doing it as an actual kind of league, and like we're top 15, and that's the way to do it. And I think, I don't know, I just feel like as well they just need to sort out the atmosphere a little bit.
Yeah, the Apex doesn't help though, does it?
No, that's what I mean. Like,
but I guess this is where they've got the advantage. They've got that facility which is there, is that they can just keep plugging the TV and YouTube stuff until it takes off enough to feel like a stadium or something.
They're not losing too much money on it.
No.
Or any money on it.
They're probably not paying the athletes like huge amounts, a good amount, but probably not like huge amounts. Good for jiu-jitsu, yeah. They could probably live and eat food.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be interesting. I think what they maybe need is like a little miniature like cage around the top of the bowl. And that would just stop anybody going over the top. So it shouldn't affect the actual grappling, but it just stops any ref intervention at all.
Yeah, that's what you want in it. Like the worst thing about jiu-jitsu when I first started watching it was I just was like, they're just rolling out of bounds all the time. So it's frustrating.
Pushing people out of bounds is so frustrating. Just don't want to engage. The amount of times I've had that happen in matches.
Yeah, it's just boring, isn't it? It's just like, come on, mate. Just poke hard.
Yeah, mate, it should be good, but we'll keep an eye on it. But, mate, we'll let you go in a second because I know you've got a seminar tomorrow. But other than the Pat Downey fight, what's next for you, mate?
I've got a few super fights here and there. I think I've got one just announced with Sebastian Broche.
Okay.
Grapple match.
Yoga for BJJ.
Cool,
that'd be good.
Yeah. And then hopefully defending a couple of my belts that I've got. And I've got a match next weekend against Lauri Karppinen, Finland 10th Planet head coach. Looking forward to that on Grapple Worlds, and that's for another belt. So hopefully I collect a belt number 4.
Nice.
And that'll be cool. And yeah, just keep competing.
Yeah, nice.
Aim for those bigger shows consistently. Like, I would like to do Polaris again, which I'm sure I will. Love to do UFC BJJ. So yeah, keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Any particular athletes that you'd really love to grapple with? Any kind of dream fights for you at the moment?
Not really. I just like testing myself.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one specifically who I'd like to go against. Like, I'm not really one for necessarily calling people out. So I think just whoever I'd get offered, really, like another black belt, and like I think people who are ranked higher than me. That's kind of it. So I can show how good I am.
Yeah, cool, man. Any shouts, any sponsors you want to shout? Any thanks to anyone?
So we'll start, I think I can remember every single one of them. So we'll start with Scramble, Subguards, Brotherhood, BJJ Nutrition, Vigorate, Role Models, Combat Sports Hygiene. Is there any more?
That's a fucking lot.
Combat Fuel.
You're doing well, mate.
I think that's everything. That should be it. If I haven't mentioned someone, then I'm going to be in trouble. But I think that's everything. And Evolve Nutrition.
Nice, mate. Well, thanks for coming on, and it's been great to catch up, mate.
It's been great to meet you both. Thank you.
Mate.
Cheers, buddy.